then the purpose kind of started to morph and change. And I'm like, okay, now like this book means more because not only are we preserving these recipes and legacies for my parents, and it's like a way of saying thank you for what you guys have done, but it's an overarching thing of saying thank you to all, right? All parents, all immigrants who have shared this type of journey.
That was chef and restaurant owner Kathy Fang. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a show about the artists, activists, and working people who make this city so special. In this episode, part 2 of 2, Kathy shares the story of her life from college up to today. It involves a stint in corporate America that didn't feel right, her return to San Francisco, going to culinary school, opening her own restaurant with her dad, and finally, the cookbook she and Peter Fang wrote together. Here's the conclusion of my chat with Kathy Fang. Did you go to college?
I did. I went to USC.
Okay. Did you keep going with volleyball? And two-part question. What did you study? Yeah, what was did you get a degree?
Yeah,
what was it?
So I went to USC to study, initially I wanted to go there and do science because I was very typical Chinese daughter, like go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go please your parents by picking prestigious jobs.
Yeah.
And never was there a conversation about, hey, Kathy, would you ever want to do what we do? In fact, it's kind of looked down upon culturally. Mm-hmm. There's a running joke that if you don't do well in school, you can just go be a cook.
Okay.
It doesn't require, right,
Yeah.
like a degree.
Yeah.
People who don't make it, like, go and do it because it's like labor, physical labor. Mm-hmm. And that was like completely off the table. And also, as I got older, teenage years, right? You're always like, what's wrong with the world?
And my parents.
Yeah, and my qualm was just like, they are always picking work over me, and, they care about money more than me. Like, there's a little of that phase, right? Where you're like, oh, well, like, no, they don't come to any of the games, right? And all this stuff. Sometimes my dad would forget to pick me up, things like that, right? Because he's so busy. But I was still very like, I'm going to make them proud. I went to USC, realized I don't like science. I'm not that oriented in that sense. And so I said, I'll just go study business.
Okay.
I graduated with a business degree in entrepreneurship and operations. And I worked in the corporate world. I worked at Merrill Lynch.
My dad worked his entire career at Merrill Lynch and retired in 2005.
Oh, wow.
And I think his dad did too. Don't quote me. No, but Merrill Lynch, that's like,
yes.
I grew up with Merrill Lynch.
I mean, but that's like the power status. You know, like, especially when I was going to school, like 2000s in that time frame, that was like the place to be. Mm-hmm. And so went there, like, I was very uninspired. I did not like it. Mm-hmm. Then I did, Johnson & Johnson, family-friendly company, let's do that. And just still very, very bored. And quite honestly depressing.
Can I ask, so you graduated from school in Southern California. Did you come back to San Francisco immediately, or did you stay around down there? Or?
I stayed in LA, and so I actually kind of worked part-time while I was going to school as well, like full school program, but also like I kind of arranged it so that I could free up at least 2 days to work, just to get extra money and like buy clothes. And that's how I kind of started working, so I stayed there.
Okay.
And I kind of like didn't want to come back at first. LA, it's like super chill, beautiful weather.
I heard the other day when we were, freezing in the 40s that it was like 80s in LA.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I was just getting used to that life. I'm like, come back to San Francisco, it's so cold. I'd have to live with my parents again. So it wasn't until I decided that I need to actually come back to the family business and do what I love, which is cooking.
Okay.
Did I make that plunge and move back and moved in with my parents.
Yeah.
In my 20s.
I have to say, I've talked to a lot of folks who are from San Francisco, and I feel like every single one of you all And it makes sense that you have a moment where you go somewhere else.
Yes.
And then
they come back.
If I'm talking to you, you came back. You know, like, so I love those stories because it's like there's always something compelling to bring you back.
Yes.
And you had something specific with cooking and your parents in the restaurant.
Yes.
Did the city itself draw you back a little bit, would you say? Or is it just that everything was already here?
I think that the number one thing that drew me back was, of course, like, I wanted to come back to where I fell in love with food, right? And so that was kind of first and foremost. But I was very excited to come back to the city. In fact, you know, during all the holidays, I would always come back and I would bring my college friends and I'd show off the city to them. And I don't know, like that there's just like this really beautiful sentimental value that I have with the city and like what I grew up around. Like I would take them, even though we're like grown adults, I would take them on the cable car, right? Like just all the quintessential things. And we'd go to Taddich, right? And we used to go to what's it called, Blue Plate or something. There's like a breakfast.
Down Mission?
Is it?
Oh.
My memory is
All
so
good.
bad. I forgot the street name. But like they would make their own sourdough dill bread and their own sausages and duck hash, right? Like
That sounds like Blue Plate.
I think it's Blue Plate, yes. And it's like just bring them to all the iconic places, and we would do it every year. Like
Amazing.
Bring them back for holidays.
Did they like it, your friends?
They loved it.
Yes,
So it was
yes.
like I was kind of like a tour guide, right?
Right.
It's like come experience my San Francisco, and it always revolves around food. And I always made friends who loved food, right? And so our itinerary was always pinned to like food and neighborhoods and the mission, and like we're gonna get burritos here and quesadillas, and we'd take pictures, and so I
Did you ever
think
take them to Alcatraz?
that is the one thing I've never done.
You're also not alone in that. My wife's from San Leandro. A lot of people who are from here, I'm like, you guys, you gotta go to Alcatraz. It's amazing. And
That's got to be on my list. Yeah, that's got to be on my list.
something I haven't done, I've only gone there during the day. I hear the night tour is even something even more special. But anyway.
Is it scary, though?
I don't know. I mean, in a way, if it were, that's exciting.
That's exciting.
Anyway, okay. So, but when you came back, let's say for good, you weren't the tour guide, and
no, I mean, when I came back for good, it felt good, right? Like, at that time, I was kind of like, oh no, I'm like leaving LA, but I kind of immediately fell into, you know, that comfortable zone that I remember, and I love like going and seeing neighborhoods and seeing like, oh, this hasn't changed, or this is still there. So it kind of just fell into place for me, and now I like can't really imagine being like back and living in LA. Not that I don't love LA,
right?
But it was just like a special place at a special time, and that was a certain part of my life. And then now my life's not that way anymore.
Yes.
My husband has always been more of like, so he grew up in Hawaii and in Georgia, and he's very much kind of like, let's do something different. Let's go to the South. Let's go live in North Carolina. Like he's very like, I want a backyard and a front yard, and let's tip some cows. And I'm just like, do you know, I'm like a city girl, like a San Francisco city girl.
Yeah.
If I walk around a couple blocks and I don't see Chinese food or Vietnamese food or Mexican food, I might like freak out.
Panic
right?
attack.
So
Get me out of here.
So as I've like aged more and more, the appreciation for the city and the diversity, right? Not just food, but people and culture, experience and art, music, like in every aspect is something that I'm always reminded by when I go elsewhere.
Yep.
Anywhere else I go, I'm always like, oh, it feels good to be back.
Let's talk about your restaurant.
Yes.
Because big part of why we're talking today. You didn't just come back and work in your parent, like that's not all you did. Yes. You branched out.
Yeah. So the first year I got back, I worked at the restaurant with my family every single day at House of Banking. Kind of to just prove to my dad that this is something that I really want to do. It's not like a short-lived, trying to figure my life out kind of thing. And then I went to culinary school after.
Okay.
Everything that I learned is from my dad, but I felt like that was a good foundation. And it would be good for me to go learn something on top of that to bring even more to the table.
Yeah.
And after I did that, my dad said, okay, well, then what's next? Because 3's a crowd. We don't really need you here that much, right?
Right.
It's overkill. So I was like, I kind of want to open another restaurant, right? Like everybody's asking us to open another restaurant. And my dad's always been like, no, because there's only one of me. And if I were to open one, then like no one would be here. Mm-hmm. My mom would, but then like he can't. So when I said, hey, why don't we open another place? I think that kind of fulfilled, that dream of his of what it would have been like if he could open a second one, and now he can because I would partner with him, right. And he could bounce back and forth, and you'd have one person at each location. Then it came to, should it be like House of Nanking number 2, or should it be an entirely different concept? And after noodling on it, we decided
good pun
that it needs to be.
What a good pun.
Yes. That it needs to be a different concept because it's not husband and wife team now. It is father-daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a different angle. That's a different story. And also the food's going to be kind of different, right? Because it has my perspective in it now. So we decided to name it Fang, our family name. And once we opened the restaurant in creating the menu, we made it point to make it like recipes from Kathy, but also recipes from Peter. And then also recipes that are a combination between the two so that you can kind of taste the personalities. Some of it will taste very similar to House of Nanking, and some of it will be kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. It allowed me to also be kind of my solo creative like path. Because one of the biggest challenges in opening the restaurant initially was that nobody knew that Peter had a daughter who could cook, right? And when they would see me, they would be like, really? You don't look like a chef.
Oh.
And both my dad and I don't wear chef outfits either.
Also, this was a time, I feel like it's slowly the world of cooking is changing.
Yes.
And I'm all for it. Like, let's keep going with that.
Yeah.
Because what is look like a chef? Anyway.
I'll tell you what they thought.
I know. My listeners probably know too. Yeah.
But this was like 16 years ago when I opened Fang. So, people, it's like, I don't trust a chef that's not like, I don't trust a chef that's skinny or like you're too tiny or like all these things, right? And they're like, I think people felt like I was just kind of riding my dad's coattails and just kind of in for it because I don't know what else to do.
Right.
But then people were like, oh, wow, like she's back there cooking. Like she actually can cook and the recipes. So that's why it was like very important that and my dad's a very dominating character. So like there's a lot of like I have to push to be like, I want that dish on there because he could easily be like, all my dishes, right? Then I'm kind of lost from that.
Right.
So me being able to do that and prove myself, and for my dad to say, this is a really good dish that's going to be on the menu, is sort of that first initial journey that was difficult at first, but like much easier now.
You figured it out. Is it an apt, I guess, metaphor to be like, well, so House of Nanking is your dad or your parents, and then Fang is like House of Nanking kind of gave birth to and raised and influenced and all
it's
that
the baby.
stuff, right? I think there's a metaphor there.
It's the next generation. It's kind of like the House of Nanking baby, what came like after.
Yeah. It's a perfectly natural thing when you think about it that way.
Yeah, and we even when you step into it, it feels different.
Yeah.
Right? This is very like old. You can see it's been through many years and it's kind of disheveled and all of that. But like, there was a time when I was like, Dad, like, we can afford to make this way nicer.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
He's like, this place is old, and when people walk in, they need to know. If you made it new, they would be confused.
Right.
Right. They'd be like, are you sure this has been here 38 years? This looks like brand new. And like the disheveled part of it is just like, that is just how it is, right? Like, he's
Yeah.
like, I like that it's not perfect. He's like, we're busy taking care of customers. We don't have time
Yep.
to like make everything perfect, like surrounding wise.
Did Anthony Bourdain come here? I meant to look that up.
I have to look that up. So here's the thing. We have so many famous people who come, but nobody here knows any of them.
Right.
So we only
Which is the
find
best.
out by random proxies.
Yep.
And I'll give you a couple examples. Recently, John Mulaney had a stand-up at Masonic. He was performing for 2 nights. The
I remember
first night
that.
he was there, one of my husband's friends was in the audience, and he texted us, and we were in London. He's like, hey, John Mulaney in his stand-up said he loves House of Fang King, but I wish they would open later. Because he's like, I can't get the food after I'm done with the show. I wish they delivered. And then they messaged me, my husband's friend. I was like, we need to get in contact with their PR team. We're going to deliver. So we
Make this
delivered
happen.
the next night to them.
Amazing.
And then Kathy Griffin did an interview when she did her stand-up. And in the interview that came out, they asked, what's her favorite place to eat in San Francisco? She said House of Fang King. So I delivered that one because I was in town.
Kathy to Kathy.
And so she said that we are on the comedy circuit. So like all the comedians who
That's
go do
amazing.
shows and tours, they have a running list of places. They're like,
Sure.
hey, I'm here, where should I go?
Right.
And so that's how I found out that all these comedians go. But if it wasn't for that, I had no idea. Like
Right.
Jimmy Kimmel's been here. I did not know that. Right? So I think that's kind of the allure too, is like to
Yes.
come and none of us know. And then I think people around them get kind of like, because no one's making a fuss, then they don't say anything.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a more pleasurable experience, both the food and the ambiance. I brought up Bourdain because I will go on record as saying this feels like the kind of place he would go.
Yes.
And that's a compliment. It's also not an insult to say I don't think he would go to Fang.
Yes.
They're different, and that was kind of
Yeah.
that's who he was.
Exactly.
Anyway, okay, maybe we can kind of slowly start wrapping up. I want you to talk
about
about
the
the book.
Yes.
So you've written a book.
Yes.
Let's hear about it.
Okay, so I just wrote the House of Fang King cookbook with my father. This is something that I've been wanting to do for like 2 decades.
Okay.
Right. Initially, it was because people would always ask, can you please share this recipe with us? Like, I don't live here, or I used to live here. Just this one recipe. And my dad's always been like, nope, we don't share any recipes, because if we do, people would just all make it and no one would come to the restaurant.
Right.
And I'm like, it doesn't work that way, Dad. Like, we buy cookbooks to kind of like celebrate it and appreciate, and maybe we might make a few things from there, but we still go to the restaurant. It wasn't until recently, so like about 3-4 years ago, we actually had a reality docuseries come out on Food Network called Chef Dynasty House of Fang. When the show came out and my dad saw it, I could tell he was kind of like, this is really special. You know, this is like a record of what our family has created.
Yep.
And he was saying, you know, if one day our restaurant were to not exist anymore, there would be no record of all of this, all the accomplishments and the successes. Yeah, there'll be things like this, but like no one would know. It would disappear. I'm like, well, Dad, you know what's the best way to preserve all of this is a book.
Yes.
A book that we can actually, you know, put everything and anything we want in there. And that's when my dad said, okay. And I wanted to make the process really easy for him. And so the book is actually written in both our voices. I wanted him to share his story, his journey, his earliest food memories, what helped him become the chef that he is, and also the origin story of House of Fang King. But I also wanted to give my perspective of growing up in this restaurant, right? What was that like? And how did I grow and become the chef that I am? And how did we partner together and become this, you know, dynamic duo? And all these stories are like told through recipes, and there's also family recipes and House of Fang King heavy hitters that, you know, people have loved for decades. But a lot of them start from like the first 20 years, because there's so many recipes. We're like, okay, we need to at least capture those first, because those many are not on the menu anymore.
Right.
And then maybe we'll do another book to capture like the next 20 years. But I put a lot of thought into what kind of recipes, and all that work I did myself. I just wanted to make sure it was easy for my dad. Like my dad I just interviewed him for about a year.
Amazing.
About dishes, recipes, early memories, origin story, all that stuff.
So you've done what I'm doing.
Yeah. Family life, growing up in Shanghai, what was that like?
Mm-hmm.
And then wrote everything down. And then I picked the dishes based on like his fondest memories and also based on customer feedback, right? Dishes that I've heard customers repeatedly say, oh, I remember when you guys used to make the pan-fried veggie buns or like the crispy fish with mustard greens. Like there's certain things that people always talk about that I'm like, I need to put that in there for them.
Yes.
So they can like, finally I can get this dish again.
Awesome.
And, so that was the first part of why. As I started writing this book, I realized a couple things. One, around marketing. When I started researching marketing, I was kind of astounded by the stats around cookbooks that have come from Chinese immigrants who have restaurants.
Okay.
Generational restaurants, iconic restaurants. There's like a handful of those.
Oh, okay.
Which is really surprising considering how big Chinese cuisine is in America.
Yes.
And there's so many little places like this. Like we're not the only ones. There's many.
Mm-hmm.
But like those stories are like never really told and those recipes get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking about why is this, right? And in talking to my dad, I think one of the biggest reasons is Chinese people culturally are very quiet. They are not used to actually sharing anything about themselves.
Mm-hmm. Spotlight.
They think that it's boastful. You have to be humble. You have to be quiet about everything, and you don't share. And then same thing with recipes. Like they keep it close to them, and they're uncomfortable with that kind of spotlight too. So that's probably partially why.
Okay.
But I think that has to change because, the pity is that like there's a lot of beautiful innovation happening with Chinese food right now, and it's very exciting. But a lot of the people now in this generation don't know, kind of like, as a consumer, right, don't know what came before that.
Right.
And they laid the foundation for all this innovation to happen now, and they're getting a lot of accolades and recognition for it. But what about the old G people?
Yes.
The really hardworking people that I see, like my parents, who've never done anything with PR or marketing or said anything. Like nobody even knows. Some people still don't know who my mom is, right?
Right.
And so it's just like, I thought like it was kind of sad that generation they don't ask for it, they don't want it, but they totally deserve that recognition. They
100%.
deserve that platform. That story deserves to be told. And I think it helps our community because the Chinese community has suffered a lot from this thing called model minority, where people just assume, they just come from wealth, right? They're successful, they don't need help. They do so well in school, they, like all this stuff, and it's like that's just a generalization.
Yes,
that's not true.
Yes.
And so many people came here with nothing. So then the purpose kind of started to morph and change, and I'm like, okay, now like this book means more because not only are we preserving these recipes and legacies for my parents, and it's like a way of saying thank you for what you guys have done, but it's an overarching thing of saying thank you to all, right? All parents, all immigrants who have shared this type of journey.
Right.
There's so many people. Maybe not restaurants. It could be a laundromat. It could be anything.
Right. It's whatever they did.
But it's like our generation being able to say, you know what, I'm very proud of what my parents have done. I'm going to go put that story out there. I'm going to share it as a way to say thank you to them, thank you to all, and maybe more people will be more comfortable with doing the same thing.
Right. Moving forward. Yes.
Yeah.
So much more than a cookbook.
Yes.
Right? And where can folks find it? Quick disclaimer. I don't like to do Amazon, so can you talk about anything besides Amazon?
All your local bookstores. So you can go to Omnivore, you can go to City Lights, which are right in the corner.
City Lights right here.
Book Passage. Like every neighborhood bookstore out
Good.
here actually has it. So
as they should.
yes. Support the book.
Yes.
And also it's just a really fun read.
Awesome. And before we wrap, where can folks, besides your restaurants, but I would love to hear maybe the addresses of the restaurants and websites and things like that. Where can they find you?
Yeah.
Stay in touch, all that stuff.
So House of Nanking is 919 Kearney Street in Chinatown. Fang Restaurant is 660 Howard in Soma. FangRestaurant.com is the website, and then houseofnankingsf.com is our other website. If you want to follow updates, House of Nanking finally has social media. So House of Nanking SF.
Is that what your kids are doing? They're running the social media.
Yeah, they are. That would be funny. Oh my God, we should have my kids do a takeover.
Exactly. On Christmas Day.
Yeah. It could go. That's a really good idea. You probably get a lot of screaming and dancing.
I'd watch that.
And then, so House
Both
of Nanking
restaurants
SF.
are on social media?
On social media. So we've got Fang Restaurant, House of Nanking SF are the handles. And then if you want like a lot of updates, then I have my own social media, Chef Kathy Fang, where I share stuff about both restaurants and also just like what is it like to be a working mom. I do funny things in there and recipes, all kinds of stuff.
I love it. Okay, I think that's it for me. Anything else you want to throw in?
Other than go buy the book, you know, like go buy the book. You're gonna enjoy reading it. It's funny, it's heartfelt. You might cry too, and then you're full. Your tummy's gonna be so full of delicious food. Oh, one other thing that I want people to know is that this cookbook is really, really approachable and really easy. A lot of people will say, oh, but can I cook from it? Because I don't really cook. I'm like, yes. The recipes were meant to be very accessible, approachable. So don't be afraid.
That was chef and restaurant owner Kathy Fang. We recorded this episode at the House of Nanking. On the next Storied San Francisco, meet and get to know Sarah Yurgovich and Danielle Doe, who opened Ricky's, San Francisco's first women's sports bar. Episode 11 drops Tuesday, February 3rd, wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Our contributing producer is Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 8th season, we have more than 300 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If possible, please rate and review the show. I want to know what you think. Find us on Substack for our monthly newsletter and more. And follow us on Instagram and Threads at storiedsf. Reach us there or email us at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Try to stay hopeful in these dark times. Keep being wacky, creative, and kind out there. And we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.